Hi there and welcome back to this week's trade recap. Once again, I have some interesting things to show you. It's been a mad week for me. It's been really interesting, I think. So let's just get right into Tuesday, since Monday we really didn't have nothing. So I'll probably talk about this week in every day. So here, usually what we look at when we have a huge candle, usually it happens to the upside, we wait for a retracement to the 50%, a rebalance here, then we wait for a sweep, and then we try to long. But here, if we zoom in, we can see that we were already targeting this low, and here we made these relatively equal highs. So in the AM session, something that has happened a lot of times is, and I think I mentioned this in the last week, we have a Judas swing back up or down. We have some sort of Judas swing, we sweep a high or a low, we deliver from something obvious, and then we have some sort of setup. And I haven't been able to capitalize on it because usually I'm waiting for something more obvious. I'm waiting for a liquidity sweep, a higher time frame liquidity sweep, the sell side liquidity to be swept, which was what was happening today. I was waiting for sell side liquidity to be swept for then us to have a inversion for all gap to the upside. But here, this is a really decent setup. If we zoom on a 30-second, we have this 30-second inverse, which it's perfect. We created an intermediate term high. We have relatively equal lows, and we have momentum through it, and only one fair value gap in this leg. This is really good, but I haven't been able to capitalize on it because I was bullish. I am been married to my bias, and I ended up waiting for the setup that I just talked about. I wanted for us to sweep sell side liquidity, then I wanted us to have some sort of inversion, and that's exactly what happened. We took sell side liquidity, we deliver from this 50% range, and we inverse this 3 minute, which also combines with the 1 minute. And because conditions haven't been the best, I combined the 3 minutes with a 1 minute, and that saved me a lot because in this trade the 3 minute failed and my stop loss was on the close below the 1 minute, and as you can see, it never happened. We held the 1 minute once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, a lot of times, and my target was this trend line liquidity. I wasn't aiming for the whole, but at least this high I was, and this was my break-even point, and I really thought I was going to lose this trade because we stayed in this range almost 1 entire hour, and we came so close to my stop loss because when we made this low, I placed my stop loss below it because I didn't want us to sweep this again. I wanted us to go higher. So if we took this low, I thought that we were going to head lower. So I placed my stop loss below this and it never triggered. We eventually had this Drake candle, which was some sort of news probably, always the same right now. And we went to my break even, I placed my stop at break even, and I got stopped at break even, which was really fortunate because we never went to my target profit. We stayed in this range a lot of times and we ended up targeting this stop loss, which it's really lucky for me. On Wednesday, we had a problem. I didn't take a single trade because in my opinion, we had conflicting draws and price action wasn't the best. Right here, you can see on the 15-minute and also on the 5-minute, we have equal highs. And we have this news high. This is a data wick. It's not a data wick on the 1 minute, which is usually what we look at, but this is a data wick. And this, as I just mentioned on the previous trade, also is a data wick. So we are inside this range and we are inside this range. So price action tends to be choppy inside this range. Usually what we do is we wait for the sell side liquidity of the data wicks to be swept, and then we'll take a trade to the other side. And we stayed in this range. We had relatively equal lows here. We had equal lows above, and momentum was being somewhat bullish. So in my opinion, there wasn't a single trade that we should take here. If we zoom on the 1 minute, we have this beautiful trade. We have this 1 minute, which is an awesome pattern trade to the lows, but as you can see, this is high resistant. We never targeted the low. Yes, we have a good setup. We targeted these ones. This could be a win, but we have equal lows above. We have relatively equal lows below. And here, this looked bullish. We swept this high. We swept this one again. We had a lot of momentum through open. We were almost inversing this one, and then we went back below. which changed the order flow. Then it just started chopping above. We did sweep it, we went up with a lot of momentum, we rejected. This isn't good price action. This is price action that we look at and we say, okay, I'll be back in another day. The market won't go anywhere. So that's exactly what I did, and let's just go fast forward to Thursday. Here we eventually swept this sell side liquidity off this data wick, and if we zoom on 1 minute, this is what happened. We swept liquidity below a lot of times. On the higher time frame, we did sweep this one as well, so this usually it kind of means bullish, but it wasn't the best here. We had already swept these highs. We did have this high, which is a high inside the fair value gap, which is really good and was the only target for that day, but we don't have the best setup here. If we waited for the close, this would be a break even, so we don't really have something accurate, something obvious as we usually do. Yes, we here have a change in the state of delivery, a really obvious change in the state of delivery. So we could have taken something before this fair value gap inversed, so maybe we entered this trade alongside here, but in my opinion, after sweeping these highs, we would go break even. So this will always be a break even unless I entered below or I held a break even. And with these conditions, as I am saying, and it's been the theme of the whole week, with these conditions, I have zero confidence. So I want everything to be perfect. And that's why I haven't been taking no wins, no losses, and the trades that I take are always a break even, and it's been really tough. So on Thursday, I didn't take anything as well, but I wanted to mention this because on the future, we will see something like this and we will take something like this. And now this is the one that hurts. If we go on the daily, we have these relatively equal lows. Yes, the second one did sweep the first, but on the daily, this is relatively equal lows. And with all this momentum, this is bearish. This is just straight up bearish. And I wanted us to have some sort of rebalance, maybe take this high inside for value gap and then go lower. That will be the perfect setup. A higher time frame sweep and a lower time frame setup. But that thing, the perfect thing, isn't happening. It really isn't. So on the beginning of the day, we had the usual one. We had the open swing and then a trade to the downside. Here we swept this high inside the fair value gap, which isn't on a higher time frame, but because the market was so bearish, I will say this is indeed a valid trade. And with a lot of momentum, right at open, we inversed all these fair value gaps like they weren't there. And I think that is the key for this trade. We inversed these bullish PD arrays like they weren't even there. So that means that we are indeed bearish. And I didn't really look at this trade because we still had my drawn liquidity, which were those equal lows that I just talked about. And here I say that here we have a protected high, because we swept this high inside the fair value gap and we are indeed bearish, so we don't need to sweep this perfect high as I just said. So here we have this protected high, so maybe we don't need to sweep it. And I said, okay, if we create an intermediate term high here, this will probably be bearish and I will take the setup if it creates. So when we created these two fair value gaps, I said that if we inverse them, I will take them. I could take just the first because it is already really good, but because we had respected this one, I thought that if we inverse this, I am really sure that we will go below. And we did inverse it with a lot of momentum, but I didn't take this trade. And I will usually come with a really good explanation for it, but there really isn't an explanation for this one. I said that this was a good trade, but when it triggered, I still hadn't decided if I would or not take this trade. So it triggered, I started panicking, I started thinking, oh, should I or shouldn't I take this trade? And that is a mistake. When we see a possible setup, we should just say, okay, I will or I will not take this setup. And on this one, I was thinking about it. So when it triggers, that creates a lot of doubt. So this setup should already be in my mind saying, okay, if it inverses, I will take it. And I just didn't say that. I said, okay, maybe this is a really good setup, but I don't know, because I don't have the confidence. I am afraid of losing these ones because the market has been so volatile, has been so different than what I am used to, that I didn't take this trade just of pure fear of losing, and that can happen. This is statistics and I should just trade the statistics, but I don't want to be holding you so much time for me to be ranting about the trades that I should or should not have taken. Once again, it is the same thing that I said on the previous week. I luckily haven't been losing, thank to God. I hope on the next week I have something really good. We will start April. Sorry for taking so long. Thank you for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.